no matter the location. From O-A-K-L-A to L-V, I'm a Raider.
Raider Nation, what's going on? Time to get into this Raiders mailbag. We film all of our mailbags on Tuesday during our live show, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. It's the time where we can talk about literally anything. This one's first coming in from M. Valdez. What's up, Raider Nation here in Chicago? Let me know in the comments where you guys are watching from right now. What's your city? What's your opinion on Abrams, an injury-prone as he is? Do you think it's worth keeping him long-term? You are going to keep Abram. I do think that Johnathan Abram was drafted a little bit too early. The biggest concern for me is this. He is not good at covering. We've already seen that. But if they can use him the way that you saw the Seahawks use a player like Jamal Adams, love it. If you could see maybe Gus Bradley use the way the Seahawks used to use Cam Chancellor, would absolutely love it. I actually think that he's built more like a linebacker, personally, more than he's built like a safety. Abram is a good player. He's a fun player. But I don't think that he was worth being drafted in the first round. Let's go to this super chat from Stephen Rockwell. Hurst and Carl. Okay. All right, so cut Mo Hurst, cut Carl Nassib, and sign Sue and Dunlap. I like Ndamukong Sue at defensive tackle, but he's probably going to cost a lot of money still. It's probably going to be his last big payday. Carlos Dunlap also is going to be a player that probably makes over $10 million. At least that's what I anticipate. I actually think he ends up going back to Seattle. But so Hurst, Carl, you save about $5 million there. I don't see that you're going to go out and get Sue. If you want a defensive tackle, I want Dalvin Tomlinson now that Leonard Williams has been franchise tagged. Also, Shelby Harris is a player to keep in mind. From a defensive end standpoint, though, Carlos Dunlap is a player that I know if you've watched the show for a while, you'll know that I absolutely love Dunlap. Also, keep in mind Carl Lawson, though, because he didn't get tagged. Let's go to Hank Moore. What up, Hank? Since Trent Brown is traded, is there any way to get Gilmore now? Sure, I mean, you could still probably figure out a way to go out and get Stephon Gilmore. If the Patriots trade him, they have to eat like $8 million. The Raiders only have to pay $7 million. So if you're going to make this type of deal, you're probably going to have to give up a pretty high draft pick. They don't seem like that they want Marcus Mariota, but if you're going to do it, I think you got to give up probably a second-round pick at the absolute least. Let's go to Tyler Vegas here. What up, Tyler? Raiders traded Trent. Could the Raiders bring back Donald Penn? Also, FTB. All right, y'all. FTB, get it going in the comments. Got 1,111 people watching. Make a wish. If you're wishing for Donald Penn to come back, I'm sorry. It is not gonna happen. Donald Penn retired in 2020. He's not going to come back to the Raiders, and I wouldn't want them to bring back Donald Penn. I'd rather him bring back Kyle Long, personally. Now, I made a fun little video on my Instagram where I simply roast Trent Brown for 3 minutes. I don't know if y'all like roast videos. I know I personally love them. So if you want to be able to check this bad boy out, it's on my Instagram, at Mitchell Renz 365, and I want this thing to go viral, so please share it. Comment, whatever you got to do, post it on your Instagram story, and if you do all of that, tag me. That way I can share it. All right, so how will the Raiders replace Trent? What do y'all think? You think they go in the draft? You think they take somebody high up maybe in the first 3 rounds? I think that's kind of how you have to replace them. Type D for draft. Or do you think the Raiders go out and sign somebody in free agency? Type F. So free agency, type F. D for draft, and if you want to be an overachiever and let me know who you think they can draft or who you think they can sign, I'll be looking. Let's go to this super chat coming in from Ricky Harrison. Trent Brown for a 5th. Am I being too picky, or is Mayock's inexperience as a GM starting to hurt the team? Not a sexy name, but Daryl Williams signed. So in terms of Daryl Williams, personally, he is going to be a player that I talk about here. I think he is actually pretty good. Also, shout out to Henry Gonzalez and Alagalach 13 for the super chats. Love that you guys are helping out the show here a lot. But is Mayock inexperienced? This has nothing to do with Mayock. It has nothing to do with Gruden. If the Raiders couldn't trade Trent Brown, apparently they were willing to keep him and make him earn a spot. The issue is the only team that was willing to give up literally anything for Brown was the New England Patriots. They weren't willing to give up a pick this year. The most the Raiders could get, think about that, was a 2022 5th-round pick. It's more to do with Trent Brown. It has nothing to do with Gruden. It has nothing to do with Mike Mayock. It's just, you got a guy who's a big old baby, and I said this in my video. If the Raiders wanted a big baby, I wish they would have went out and got Big Baby Davis. I mean, that's just where I'm at. So if you guys want to be subbed to the Raiders Report, I want to be subbed. If you guys want to get on the show, you got to be subbed, right? So if you want to join our live shows, the easiest way to do it, subscribe, click the big red button. If you're colorblind, it probably looks a lot like this color here. It's silver and black, right? So we're always posting new videos literally every single day, free videos, 365 days out of the year. We have a good time just like Raider Nation Tailgate, so go ahead and subscribe. Super chat coming in from David Rodriguez. If there are no defensive players on the board at 17, well, I'm not good at math, but I really highly unlikely that every single defensive player entering the draft is going to be gone. No, I'm kidding. Do we go offensive line? There's going to be somebody on the board. Like, there's no way that Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Russo, Jalen Phillips, I'm trying to think, Zaven Collins, there's no way all these guys are off the board. If the Raiders do, though, decide to go offensive line at pick 17, I think it's going to be one of these guys here. If Rashawn Slater from Northwestern falls down the board, he could be an option. Tevin Jenkins is definitely a sleeper to keep in mind because the Raiders already had an interview with him. Samuel Cosmi is actually a guy I'm not too crazy about. Jalen Mayfield would be a player that I actually would be pretty happy if the Raiders got him round 2, pick 48. Alex Leatherwood, he's an up-and-down prospect for me as well. But if you realistically think about who's the most realistic option, there's a part of me that actually does think that Tevin Jenkins could be it at 17, who actually reminds me a lot of Colton Miller. Big dude, very athletic, just needs time to grow into his body. A lot of super chats, and I appreciate it. So this one's coming in from Roberte. All right, so we got Seacocks now say that they were willing to trade Wilson. Do we pay Carr like Dak was paid for his stats rather than meaningful games or trade for Wilson? I mean, you're never going to pay Derek Carr what Dak Prescott got. Derek is not as good as Dak, and he's also not as young. That might be hard for some of y'all to hear, but it's just the truth. If you're going to go out and give Derek Carr an extension, if you give him anything over $30 million, I actually think that that's not really what you're trying to do. Would I rather have Russell Wilson? Sure, but if you're going to go out and trade for a quarterback, you trade for Deshaun Watson. He's 7 years younger, and his deal is actually cheaper when you really look at it from a long-term value. I'd rather have Deshaun Watson, but let's face it, Derek Carr is going to be the starting quarterback for the Raiders, and if you restructure his contract for how favorable it is, that would really make me scratch my head. So today's show presented by BetUS. If you guys want to go ahead and bet on the Raiders to win the AFC West, you can do that. In fact, if you risk $10 right now at chatsports.com/Raiders, okay, you risk $10 and the Raiders win the AFC West, you win $100. What do you have to lose? Really nothing, because you get $125 free dollars when you deposit $100. How? At chatsports.com/Raiders. But you got to use this promo code here, Raiders125. If anybody has any questions whatsoever about how to bet on the Raiders or how to get started at BetUS, email me, Raiders@chatsports.com. I'm going to say it again, Raiders@chatsports.com. All right, let's go to this super chat from Project 1337. A lot of players the Raiders should have targeted are being tagged. Who do you think we target now? John Johnson, Malik Hooker, Dalvin Tomlinson. Off the top of my head, William Jackson will be a player that they target. Richard Sherman will be a player that they target. I'm actually curious to see what they do with a guy like Trent Williams. Daryl Williams as well could be an option. Kelvin Beachum. Those are a few names that I just want you all to keep in mind. Let's go to Pat Beldez, another super chat. Let's just pray, you got it, we work on that D-line. Get the pressure help out of the young secondary some. If not, more toast. I'm a big fan of toast, but I don't like burnt toast, and that's what I had to watch the entire season this past year with the Raiders secondary. But the Raiders secondary I actually thought was so bad because there was no pressure. And if you're not going to get pressure and you're not going to be able to get after the quarterback, it's going to be a long game. So I'm hoping that the Raiders can also address the defensive line. I'm hoping that Klee and Max can continue to get better, and I'm hoping that if we can get a solid defensive tackle, maybe like a guy like a Dalvin Thompson, Shelby Harris, to really come in and fill up the middle, oh, man, we just got to get more pressure. There's no doubt about it. Super chat coming in from Zornell. What up, my brother? FTB and FAB don't want to be Raiders. Everyone, type FTB, type FAB. Jack Bishop, you're next up here on the Raiders Report. Raiders sign Leonard Floyd, linebacker from the Rams. I actually would not want this to happen. I think Leonard Floyd's a good player, but he's going to ask for way too much money. He's coming off a career high in sacks and pressures. He's not the type of player that's going to get you 10.5 sacks. He's just not that type of player. But you're probably going to have to pay him like he's a guy that's getting you 10.5 sacks. So I know some people have thrown out that name, Leonard Floyd. I would much rather go out and get a guy like Kyle Van Noy, who the Raiders are very interested in. I'm good on Floyd. Let's go to Rogers the Iceman Smith Jr., another super chat. Don't ever sign another Brown unless it's Tim. I'm kind of with you there. I mean, Antonio Brown was a disaster. Trent Brown has been a disaster. Tim Brown. Yep. I think if you have an Antonio Brown or if you have a Trent Brown jersey, just take off the numbers and just say it's a Tim Brown and it's an old jersey. I think that's your best option. Super chat coming in from Henry Gonzalez. What's the status of Jeff Heath? Besides getting trucked by Sam Darnold, he gave the D some pep. He did lead the team last year in interceptions, and I actually thought that Jeff Heath was the best coverage safety on the team. That's not really saying a lot. But the other thing that Jeff Heath brings is a lot of special teams ability. It's one of the reasons why I was actually really excited when they brought him in, and it's another reason why I wasn't really surprised. So Rich Bisaccia, he's the special teams coordinator. He was also the old coach for the Cowboys, or one of the coaches for the Cowboys, and now he's with the Raiders with Rod Marinelli. If you move on from Heath, I believe it costs you a little over, or it saves you a little over $3 million. I fully anticipate them to bring him back, and just because of special teams, and they need help at safety. So if you guys got a question, you want to get on the show, you got to use hashtag Raiders or Super Chat. But judging by the amount of Super Chats that we have coming in, Martin Goomba just sent in a super with no message. So Martin, if you want to type it up, we'll try to get to it. But with the amount of supers coming in, if you want to get on the show, it sounds like you got a super chat. Now, if you don't want a super chat, it's all good. Or if you can't join our live shows, I understand. I'm a busy person too, and you got other responsibilities. I totally get it. But if you do have a question and you want to, ask me. If you want to talk Raiders, I keep my DMs open for a reason. If I don't get to your question in the first day, if I don't get to it in a week, I promise you, I will eventually get to it. I handle my questions like the waiver wire. I start at the top, and I work my way down. So hit me up on IG, at Mitchell Renz 365. Let's go to Steamed Animal, more of a Steamed Broccoli fan, personally. Hey, Mitch, would you rather kiss Derek Carr's eyeball or wear a Chiefs jersey? I'll kiss Derek Carr's eyeball. That means I get to meet Derek Carr. So, cool. I'm good with it. Let's go to Derek Luden. What up, brother? With Leonard Williams being franchise tagged, do you think we draft a defensive tackle or sign one in free agency? I actually think you could do both. You need extra depth at that position. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you have Kendall Vickers. You have David Irving. You have Mo Hurst. But, do they bring back Johnathan Hankins? I actually don't think that they do. So you still have to be able to fill this major need. Sure, Cleveland Ferrell did a great job playing outside and inside, but the Raiders want to keep Clee on, ultimately, the outside there. So I think that you could bring in a top defensive tackle. I also think that they could also sign one. It just depends how much money, ultimately. All right, we got Jimmy Drills coming in here. Steelers aren't tagging Bud Dupree. I like Bud and Dupree, winky face. Okay, I see what y'all did there. Type 420. So I don't think that the Raiders actually do bring in a guy like Bud Dupree, who did suffer a pretty wicked injury. He's going to want a lot of money, 31 tackles, 8 sacks, and he's going to go back and say, hey, when I was healthy, I was a double-digit sack player. Bud Dupree was really only good, I think, because of how stacked that Steelers defense was. He's 28 years old. I get that he's got some good numbers, but there's a lot of other edge rushers out there. So for me, I am going to type my N for no. Jimmy Drills, I appreciate the question, but go down in the comments and let me know why for yes or N for no should the Raiders sign Bud Dupree. Tyler M11, Hassan Reddick, Malcolm Butler. Malcolm Butler has been released. I do not want Malcolm Butler. He is old. He's washed up at this point. Hassan Reddick is a little bit more intriguing to me. I don't really think the Arizona Cardinals really use Hassan Reddick, and they definitely aren't using Isaiah Simmons right either. Reddick, though, could be an interesting player who had 12.5 sacks, I believe, last year. He's not a good guy at covering, but if you want somebody that can get pressures, he went to Temple, former first-round pick. It is somebody pretty interesting, and I actually think he would sign for a little bit of a cheaper deal because he's really only had one good year. Super chat coming in from John Alaka. I think I got that right. Titans just released Malcolm Butler. Should the Raiders sign him? Sorry, John. I already answered this, homeboy. Nope, I'm going to go with no. Super chat from Mariota is the GOAT. All right, Mariota's burner account. Appreciate you watching. Trade Carr for A-Rob and a first. No. If you're going to, who's going to start? I guess you're probably thinking then Mariota's going to start. No, man. The only way I'm trading Derek Carr is if I can get a first. You're getting 2 first-round picks in return. Because if you're going to have to deal with Mariota playing quarterback, A-Rob don't want that. A-Rob's not going to want to go to a team that's got Mariota being the only quarterback in the team. So, no. Sorry. Not going to happen. Let's go to Matt R. Oh boy, how about Forrest Lamp to plug in at offensive guard? Also, what about Sampson at outside linebacker? He's 25 and might be a cheaper option. So, in terms of Sampson, no, I don't think that one's going to happen. If the Raiders are going to go out and find somebody, I actually think they either bring in Nicholas Morrow. They could actually still bring in Morrow, but if you're going to just go out and get Sampson, like, I'd actually rather you just draft somebody like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah if he's available at 17. Forrest Lamp is actually a player that I really, really liked when he was first coming out. Did suffer an injury, but if Forrest Lamp at offensive guard, plug him in, hey, I'm all about it. Let's go to Jake Powers here. Why are people so out on Arnett already? He barely had time to learn due to COVID. I get that. The issue is this with Damon Arnett. They drafted him in round 1. He was a day 2 prospect for me, a round 3. Like, I was stunned when the Raiders made this move. The other issue is this. He's not putting in the work. He looks like he has other things on his mind. I know I've said this multiple times on the show before. He seems like he's more interested in music. That might be unfair, but also you're already seeing a lot of concerns from his coaches. That's something that scares the hell out of me. He's never going to be a first-round pick. I'm sorry. He's just never going to be it. Let's go to a super chat coming in from Caleb Landry here. Aaron Jones from Green Bay is going to hit free agency. Should we? No. I'm not paying a running back over $10 million a year when I have Josh Jacobs. This might hurt some of y'all's feelings. I am not team pay running back. So when Jacobs is set to get his payday, I'm going to say no. Go ahead and draft somebody else. Super chat coming in from Dale Webb Jr. Sign Juju Smith-Schuster or bring back Nelson Aguilar. I bring back Nelson Aguilar because he's going to make half the amount of money that Juju brings. If they make the same amount of money, sure, I'll take Juju. That ain't going to happen. Bring back Nelly. Speaking of Nelly, got a super chat coming in from Dillick Erickson. If we bring back Nelly, what are your predictions for him in year 2 of being a Raider? Do you expect more yards from Renfrow or Ruggs this year? I actually think if you can bring back Nelly, probably puts up like the exact same amount of numbers. I actually believe that. He might have a little bit less in terms of overall yards, but if you could still get like 45 catches, 750 yards, and 7 touchdowns from Aguilar, that's pretty good production because they are going to try to get Henry Ruggs a little bit more involved. But if I got to predict more yards from Renfrow or Ruggs, I'm probably going to go with Renfrow.